Hey there, everybody. It's RCK. I'm glad to have you here again if you've been here before, and if not, I'm glad to have you here anyway. Today, we're going to be going over our first multiplayer game I'm going to be posting on this channel. For this game, I'm going to be playing as EA Caelum. I had a lot of fun playing it, and I'm glad I did. I'm glad everyone who was able to participate in this game could. And just to start this first episode off, I'm going to be going over my pretender creation, and then I'll be heading over to do the first 6 turns of this game. Just because those first few turns, of course, they go relatively fast. Hopefully enough, I'll be able to keep that up for a while. I believe this episode will be about an hour long, and I believe next episode after that will probably also be 6 turns worth of episode. So hopefully that will go well. I would like to have multiple episodes in a turn or multiple turns in an episode. I mean, just to really get this kind of on the roll. I hate to sit there and watch a game and it just you spend the whole time you only watch one turn and it already took you 30 minutes or a full hour almost. But I completely understand the people that do that, especially real late into the game. And as far as I know, that could also make us, or I could also be doing that when we come to turn 50 or turn 60 as well. So we will definitely see how it goes. This is the Pretender chassis that I decided to use for this game. I took the Great Sage. Other than that, the reason why I took him, yeah, he is an inspiring researcher, so he gives all other mages in that castle +1 to their research. But I wanted a very cheap rainbow chassis that I could have a decently high astral. This is the only mage that starts with astral, and that's why. As far as the little human-sized mages, um, I definitely wanted to take Astral 5. What you can do from Astral 5 is you can make a Starshine Skullcap, and we'll put you to Astral 6. After that, you can make a Ring of Sorcery, which will take you to Astral 7. At level 7, you're able to make a Ring of Wizardry, which will push you up to 8, and at that point, you could use the Ring of Sorcery to boost you in all your sorcery paths. And on top of that, the Ring of Wizardry will boost you in all paths. Other than that, yes, you're going to be able to make a handful of other boosters, and by having those as well, you're going to really open up your nation to a lot of magic diversity, and that is always really good as if you can get as much as you can, of course. Now to go ahead and start this off, the next reasons for the two main things I took Fire 2 and I took Death 4. If anyone knows EA Caelum or watches the overview, you will have conjuration spells and conjuration 7 or 8, I believe, and you will need high death and a little bit of fire to cast those spells. And what you're going to be getting out of it is very high path mages that you wouldn't normally have as Caelum. Like you'll be getting blood, nature. Yeah, they're still going to have air, they're still going to have water, they're still going to have earth. You'll definitely also have high fire. So really interesting, something you guys need to check out. I know on the mod inspector it will list all of them. I think there's a chance of getting like 5 different ones, or I believe it's something like on those lines. So really interesting, very powerful mages you can have later on in the game. Now as far as the bless goes, you can never go wrong with having too much magical resistance. And it's always really well, or it works really well. Since usually enough, the only mages that we're going to have to worry about ever blessing are going to be our Eagle Kings. And the reason for that is I don't plan on using any sacred units in this Let's Play or multiplayer game. Other than that, I took Spirit Sight. If I decided to thug anything, it's always good to have mages that aren't affected by darkness. And then I took 3 points of Undead Command, which will ultimately boost it by 60. So, because EA Caelum being a air death nation, they have very easy accessibility to corpse constructs, and they'll be making a lot of them. And you're gonna need people that's able to move corpse constructs around because you just don't want to sit there and Mountain Kings and such. I mean, because you don't have any access to death from the beginning of the game. You definitely have to go and site search for it and get a economy going. But other than that, we're going to be having a pretty largely scales blessed productivity 3. We took order 3. I added a extra point to cold because normally Caelum will want cold 2. I pushed it up to cold 3 just to get some extra points. I took growth 3. I took misfortune 2. I kind of wish I would have took less misfortune, or if anything, I wish I could have get to the luck, but I just couldn't happen. I needed the points from somewhere because maybe I could have decreased the amount of order I had, but at the same time, with the amount of units you make, you want a lot of recruitment points, so it's a tough one to really drop. On top of that, I did end up taking Magic 3 because I wanted to be a research powerhouse in this game. I wanted to build as many castles as I can and start producing as many cheap researchers as I can because I mean 45 gold for 10 research, that is really really hard to beat. I took this god as imprisoned, so we won't be seeing him till around year 3. Other than that, I don't need high dominion. I mean, taking dominion around 5 isn't too bad. I believe at one point in the game, I do start to push my dominion by creating temples. Well, it wasn't really used to push it by creating temples. I was creating temples to get a higher dominion, so then that will push it even more. So it's really no big deal. Other than that, I don't have too much to say on the pretender screen, so we'll go ahead and look over at the game. I just transferred everything over from my other computer. The game we're playing is called Arena of Tyrants, and that's going to be the name of this multiplayer game I'll post on YouTube. That's just me retitling it. So in the beginning, there was chaos. Right now, we won't go over the other nations in the game. We'll do that on turn 2 when everyone is prophetizing their profits. So this turn I'll be sneaking off with my scout. I just really want to check out and see what's in these 2 farmlands. They're kind of one of my first 2 targets. I could have came over here, but I just didn't. I don't know. I just didn't want to. I just felt like this was a better place for me. Um, so I'm sneaking over there to see what's that. Doing the profit thing. I'm a loser, so I didn't rename my profit, of course. As for my first turn recruitment, I'm going to be making a lot of Spirehorn warriors, and when I don't have enough resources to make a Spirehorn warrior, I'll be making a militia there at the end, because I had 5 resources left instead of 7. At this point, you see I'm heavily resource capped. I still have lots of recruitment points, and I still have a good bit of gold, so very, very unfortunate. As far as my mages go that I'm going to start recruiting, I go ahead and make one of the Harab Seraphs. And the reason for that is, yes, I could be making my cheap mages, but right now I'm not worrying about the gold. I just want to go ahead and get research out, and these Harab Seraphs will have 4 more research points per unit than the other ones right here, the Spirehorn Seraphs. Now these are your research monkeys, but of course in the beginning I'd be rather making something a little bit more useful out of my capital. And on top of this, these guys have very, very nice randoms. Really good site searchers when the time comes for me to send them out. Hopefully I can get them out relatively soon. I like to site search early. So I have a chance of him being a Air 2, Death 1, an Air Earth Death, and then Death 2, Air 1. And I wouldn't mind having all those to go out and site search with. The least particular, or at least one I'd like to side search with, it would be the Air 2, since I have this other mage here that also has a cross path in water. So I would definitely like to get him out. And then I have this fire cross path here as well. I won't search as much with these, but I will attempt to. And of course I have this earth one, so eventually we'll start searching with these when we can, if we don't have anything better to do with them. If not, they will be staying home researching. So that's all. That's really all I have for turn one. We'll go ahead and head over to turn two. Um, Exit, continue. Alrighty. So in this game we have a Ermor, beginning of endings, undeceivable god, coppercaster of gods, prophet of somewhat damaged, prophet of Bitcoin, god of men's fate, prince of sacred eye, king of kings, he who is at the center, and that's Machaka. So we have Machaka in this game. We have a Mikland, a prophet of I couldn't think of a good name, the flame of evil, divine smith, god of wisdom. And we have Caelum, didn't name my prophet. Prophet of Crow, the Evening Star, Prince of Celestial Bodies, the Shadow. The reason I named it Crow, I couldn't really think of a name either. I was watching Game of Thrones, and I was like, oh, they call the Watcher on the Wall guys. They call them crows, and I was like, yeah, I'm playing Bird Nation. Let's just call them Crow. Satis here, Prophet of Simba, Prince of Metals, Master of Crafts, the Mountain Lord. We have an Agartha in the game. Shall hereby be known as Prophet of Jim, Master of Arcane Mysteries, Lord of Inventions, Prince of Might. We have a Vanheim, Shining Boat of Heaven. Oh, okay, Big Dwarf Daddy, Shining Boat of Heaven, the Divine Architect, King of Suffering. And then we have a Helheim, Bigfoot Little Hand, the Unshakable Bane of Men. We have a Colossi, Prophet, Feeder of Hungry Monkeys, the Lord of the Greater Earth, the Great Son of Life, God of Mountains. So really, really cool. As far as it goes, the nations I worry about, don't particularly want to get in a conflict with the Garthug, since if we do, we would be fighting them in Heat 3, which I really wouldn't be too happy with. Also, their units are relatively tougher, so they're going to survive our initial strikes. It would be rather difficult for our birds to kill some of their units, and they just have high health pool, so they're going to be able to hit us back usually. Um, Other than that, I feel like Vanheim and Helheim, they will be very much a pain for us to fight as well. So hopefully we can stay away from them. Other than that, anyone else on here, it doesn't look too bad. Yeah, Machaka, they're Heat 3 as well, but or Satis and Machaka, and probably Micklin too. They would probably all be going Heat 3 as well, but I don't worry about them as much since they are just human sized. So for our first random here, we do get a Def 2, which is really nice. We'll have to use him for site searching. This turn again, we'll be having the same recruitment as we did last turn, making a Rob Seraph and making as many Spire-Worn Warriors as we can. And next we'll be moving into Prominence 112, being the Forgotten Woods. My reasoning behind this is I checked my entire cap circle, and at this time I noticed that it had the mountain and forest tag to it. And at this point, since I am resource capped, I'm starting to collect a bit of gold. At the end of last turn, we had about 100 or so after recruitment was done. Still have a lot of recruitment points, but it's the resources we're really struggling on. And then having a mountain forest tag here beside us, we're going to be able to collect the most amount of resources from this province. So that's why I chose to take this one first, just to increase the total amount of units I can make from my capital. So other than this, we see that here in this province we're going to have heavy calves, very, very unfortunate, but we're going to have archers and heavy infantry. Hopefully we'll be able to take this as fast as we can, since it's going to be the highest income. Now this one here is a mountain and a farmland, so it won't be as high, but it's still going to be valuable. Hopefully we'll be able to do that as well. And I think at this point I changed where my scout was going, because I think I had him scripted last turn to go somewhere over here to check who my neighbor was. But instead I wanted to go ahead and check this farmland out to see if I'm able to take it. Maybe I can fly from here to here, or maybe I could do something here. I'm not sure what I decided to do with that. but we'll go ahead and check it out next turn. Other than that, I mean, you can see where our Dominion's starting to push out. I could go for the forest here instead, but I think having the mountain tag along with the forest will give us even more. A little worrisome that these barbarians are here. If they're able to hit any of our birds, they'll definitely be able to kill them one shot. We have to be careful. Usually enough when I attack barbarians, I'll have them on attack closest because the commanders will be in the front. Let's go ahead and look at our scripting. So as far as things go, um, if I had to change anything now, I'd probably put this guy farther back, and I put him on Sermon of Courage instead of Divine Blessing. Maybe even in the corner. I'll have these guys on hold and attack rear, that's fine. And I'll have these guys just on fire. Maybe I could pull these guys a little bit back too, but it's not too big of a deal. But that's how I have it set up. We should be able to take these militia and light infantries out very, very well. And I'll go ahead and end the turn and we can go see what happens on turn 3. No. Turn 4, my bad. So, is it turn 3 or turn 4? Well, I'm a dummy. I'm a dummy. It's turn 3. My bad. Alright, so we have a battle here in Forgotten Woods, and we have an unexpected event in Caelum. And let's go ahead and watch the battle and see what happens. So here we've already gone through this. The reason why we have that other unit over here beside the Prophet is because we're in our own dominion. It would be an Astral Air 1, has has all 3, is a sacred unit that's ethereal. It's just something nice to have. You can't particularly script it, so it doesn't have it's not too great, but I mean it will help in like assassinations and things like that. So we have these archers shooting down these militia, thankfully, because they don't have a shield. I also don't think they do have a cap, actually. Okay, but either way, they're going to be taking losses. Definitely lowering the total amount of HP for this army. And at this point, we've already attacked reared, and all the commanders are just about gone. There's one left right there. I shouldn't have clicked on it. And he is gone, so they are definitely all routing at this point. And another thing you have to worry about with flyers is that even if the army is routing and they're running away from the battlefield, the flyers are going to fly down and get in their way. And even though units will have a minus stats to their skills because they are routing, there are still chances of your units dying, and you will take losses from this. So it's very, very worrisome. It's something you have to keep in mind, especially for things like trampling units. It's hard to stop it, but you will be taking losses. I believe it's a -4 effect. Oh, this one's even more. So his basic one is for routing it's -4, but he's also crippled, so it's 0. So I guess he's just trying his best to crawl away. The same is for defense skill. His basic defense skill is 8. When he's routing, it's -4. So it really, really drops your skills. Yeah, you don't have. I mean, when you're looking at militia, you say, oh, well, defense skill or attack skill 4 against defense skill 10, you don't have to worry. But, I mean, it happens with all units. It's not that in particular. So, all sacred units, everything, I mean, you're going to be jumping in front of them, and it gets kind of a little dicey there. But there's something to keep in mind. See some word of powers coming off. And we will go to the battle report. So no losses, very, very lucky. Unexpected event, so misfortune +3. That is very unfortunate. Curse the land. This is the second time of me making this video, but I thought it was very thematic that we have these little ice mountains here. I thought it was kind of nice for our nation. You know, we have the Spirehorn Mountains and stuff, and that's just kind of where we live, up in the cold mountains. So very, very interesting. I go ahead and put defense 6. There's a strong argument where I could definitely put defense 10, especially since I'm not gold cap at this moment. Just go ahead and start getting rid of that unrest. Now, I do have it written down somewhere on how much unrest actually bothers provinces in a way. I'll have to bring that out for the next episode. The reason why we have unrest, if people don't know, whenever you have a battle in a province, whether it's Indies or if it's an enemy, you will increase your unrest. So it's quite interesting. The reason why I said you put up defense PD 10 is because once you're at 10, it starts to lower it every turn automatically. So there is that. At this point, I decided since we were pretty much at full force still, I considered going for the heavy knights. This can make me or break me right here. Um, but hopefully enough, since I'll be able to make units relatively fast, it shouldn't hurt too much. So it is a little interesting, but taking this farmland is going to be very, very nice since of how much gold it's going to give. Yes, I probably should have gone for another cap circle province just to increase the total amount of resources, but I'll be having a second expansion party coming out relatively soon, so we're not going to have to worry. I leave the scout here just to try to get a better idea of what's in this province. I think I'll leave him in here an extra turn or two, and just to kind of keep an eye on what's going on around in case I'm looking at a early bump. I haven't seen anything from anybody. My Dominion has kind of been pushing relatively fast north. Seems like we've had pretty high spread. I wouldn't have minded staying. Well, since we already have all of our paths here, it's not too bad. So we'll go ahead and head over to turn 4. I don't think I actually went over what we'll be making this turn. We got another death random, making the same amount of Spirehorn Warriors and 1 militia as much as we can. I believe this is around. No, I think last turn we made 18. I think this is around 20 some. And we'll be making a area Seraphine. The reason why we're making these is because they're very good for leading small expansion raids or small expansion parties. I mean, they're holy twos, they're sacred, they have a fire random, they have a leadership of 45, which is really, really nice. They're stealthy, so you can use these guys as stealthy preachers if you don't want them for anything else. They're your only fire path. So at that point you'll be able to go and site search with them. I can't remember if your Eagle Kings get fire as a path, but we can go and check later. So really, really nice, and if anything, we can use them later as a basic research monkey, even though they're a little bit more expensive. You might have them wanting to do other things. They have map move 22. The only thing you have to really keep in mind about map move, and I've had this came up later on in the bit or later on in the series when I was moving units around, and I wanted to get to a certain place fast enough. The only thing you have to worry about, you have to keep in mind, is like things like these militia here. They only have map move 16, where your Spirehorn Warriors will have map move 20. So that may come up on occasion. The Ironclad, they have 18. I think I got these from an event or something because I didn't make them. But I did have them at some point in the game, and the few militia that I made in the beginning just to round out the resources, I had to drop them out of armies just to get a little bit farther if I needed to. So it's kind of interesting. Surprisingly enough, these mammoths have map move 20, but they will be taking um, extra. It'll cost them extra map move depending on what provinces they're moving in and out of. Um, because everything has a different point value, and since they're walking, it really will affect them more than a flying unit will. If anyone ever wonders how to see the points or total map move points of moving from one place to another, you can press Control M. So for moving from this province here to here would be 45 points, and I believe that's going to be for a walking unit. If you click on a flyer, it's only going to cost a flyer 15 points. So very, very interesting. Same for this. You can fly all the way from the throne there. You can fly into any of these places. You can fly over here, and it's just going to cost you 15. So really, really interesting. Usually enough depending on, well, I don't think it might increase or not depending on what you go through. Because there you see it says 13, but it's going from planes to planes. So pretty cool. This is the same script we're going to have going into this fight here. We should be okay. And we'll go ahead and turn over to turn 4. I believe I told you I already said I transported all the games over from my other computer to this one. So I'll have definitely have more on the list of them anyway. Shouldn't have done that. Should have just pressed view battle. So hopefully here these archers here would be taking the lance charges from the knights, and these guys should be taking out the commanders. I believe that's around 7 heavy or 7 knights, 7 heavy cav. So a little risky. I wish my archers would be shooting their own archers, but they just decided to match up with these heavy infantry. Now this gets a little scary right here, because these guys should be on attack rear. So thankfully enough, they did not go for my profit. Got very lucky there. These guys here are taking care of all the commanders at this point, and now they're fighting the archers. The heavy infantry are routing. At this point, I believe the archers in heavy cav should be routing as well. Yep. So that should be about the end of them. But like I was speaking before, these guys are going to stop them from routing and force them to attack them. So it is quite interesting to have flyers. Like I would just let the people go because they're just indies and they die anyway. But really no big deal. We end up losing 4 Spirehorn Warriors and 1 Militia, killing 52 in total. So very good trade or loss to win or trade ratio there on that. So after this, we're going to be heading to this province here. I stayed an extra turn just to make sure there was no heavy cav. I should at this point been moving my scout on. I don't know why I didn't. There's really no telling. So now we have our Seraph here that we just made, and we're going to use him to expand out to 110 Quadra, just essentially to that was the most income based province I had in this circle here, so I just wanted to go ahead and go for that. Maybe try to get an early castle out on this farmland because it is 16,000 population and 111 income. Yes, the unrest is 9. That's why I go ahead and put it at 10. PD at 10 anyway. Just go ahead and decrease that because the higher amount of population and income you have, the more effect any points of unrest will do to it. Other than that, I think we're kind of in our money making phase because I like to make money. I like to get early castles out, and I like to get site searchers going. On top of that, we do have a site already from that location, which we are very lucky to have. We have a lava lake, so we will have +1 to fire, which will start our fire income because at the start we have 0, and that is 100% increase on water since we only have 1 water gem income to begin with, and this will give us an extra one, pushing us up to 2. So very nice. I don't think we had any events happen. No, we didn't. This is a turn 4, so we're going to go ahead and head over to turn 5. As far as recruitment goes, we'll be making another area of Seraphine and the most Spirehorn warriors that we can. Other than that, I don't see anything else going on in particular. We're still researching. I haven't gone over our research target yet, and for our first research target, we're going to be heading down to Conjuration 5. Nothing in particular in these early ones. We don't have Storm yet, so we can't particularly do Storm power. Other than that, we do have these national spells here. Really no big deal. I don't think I ever cast them. As far as that goes, nothing in Conjuration 4 in particular. You will have Call of Winds. That's just a spell that, like a attack spell. You have you spawn these Black Hawks to attack a province. I think I use that on occasion, but not too often. It really depends if I think I can get away with it because 10 air gems. Air gems are very useful for you. You don't want to use that spell too often. You want to keep as many as you can because there are much better spells you can be casting, um, especially in battles. So we have a few different things here. Some of them are you do get commanders, some of them are units. Overall, I mean, yeah, this is going to be an astral guy, but we have to wait till we get our god out because we have no astral paths. This one here is going to be a water 2 astral 1, I believe. which will also have natural rain as they start the battle. Really, really interesting. It's a way for us to boost up into higher water. That's why I took water 1 on my pretender. Actually, I didn't go over why. I did go over it in a bit, but I didn't go over the small paths I did. I probably could have went without having the air 1 on my pretender. I went water 1 so I could boost in, or I could cast a spell which will ultimately boost me up to water 2. From there, hopefully I was at construction 6 at that point, so I'll be able to make something like a water bracelet that push me up to 3 to make the robe go up to 4. So it's just a way to really boost up in water. Other than that, the reason why we're going to Concentration 5 is because we want full-size air elementals. This is a Air 3 spell to cast. It costs 1 nature gem, and it gives you a very, very, very powerful elemental. In as far as our mages go, having these Air 4s are going to be very, very efficient in casting that spell. Very, very fatigue effective for them. They'll be able to cast this a lot. So really, really nice to have. They get even more powerful in Storm, and all the units that we're recruiting all have Storm immunity. So it's going to be really, really nice. But yeah, as far as everything go, we'll be having an attack here and attacking this other province farmland. At this point, I definitely could have pulled this army back and attacked one of these places just to increase the amount of production I had, but at that point I wasn't too worried about it. I probably should have. I just saw this as a mountain farmland that I could go ahead and take. Hopefully it had a decent amount of income. We'll go ahead and go hit in the turn and head over to turn 5. Alright, so we have 2 battles and we'll go ahead and watch them. I believe I'll watch this one first and we'll watch the farmland last. Now looking back over at things, we'll go ahead and look at that army. With my scripting, I can go ahead and already tell you that this is not good. Definitely made a mistake here. I should be having this unit back here in the corner with these guys. I'm not saying that we're going to die right here, but just saying I could have scripted much better looking at this as a 2020 perspective. Very, very risky. Very risky. These units are doing what they do best, attacking rear command, and now they kill the commanders, so they're looking at heavy infantry. The heavy infantry, not all of them are routing at this point. I feel like they're about to, and now they have. The only reason I said that is because some of these guys, well, he is routing, but he's turned around, which is interesting. Usually if they're routing, they're all facing the same direction, trying to run away. That's us casting fire darts and hitting our own units, of course. I wonder if we hit that one. Yeah, his battle wound's great. And there we go, that's the end of the battle. So a very, very decent 75 income province beside our capital. Will also be giving us a few resources, which is nice. And we'll go ahead and watch the farmland battle. You're already familiar with the scripting. We have the arrows going off. Of course, they're going to be hitting the heavy infantry because we're so smart. At this point, our flyers should be flying up and attacking rear. And while looking at this, I wish our flyers would have stayed together a little bit more. I feel like, well, whenever flyers attack, I believe they make a roll check, and at that point, it determines if how far rear they go and where they land. I wish we had all of them here because these ones that are kind of sparsed out are going to be killed. It's very, very dangerous for them. You want to be in groups, something along these lines. And after these guys are done, I hope they go to these guys next. Just go ahead and take these commanders out. The priest is already gone. One commander's gone, 2 left. your units aren't that great in a prolonged battle. You really want to have that first strike like alpha attack or a spearhead attack to really take out leadership and be done with the battle. And now my flyers have left this commander, so this is not looking good. All we have left are archers at this point, and they're raining down arrows still. Our prophet is casting Word of Power, which is a relatively good spell to cast because it is killing units. And we're in combat now with our archers, and this is not looking good. We've already lost two, I believe. I think we lost a third one, a fourth one, a fifth one. And we should be routing soon. At the top it does say we are routing, and we're just going to fly away. So very, very close. If we would have ended up getting that last commander, I believe at this point they're all routing. Yeah, they're all routing at this point except for the commander. Yeah. So very, very unfortunate. We had an unexpected event happen. We had a handful of magical gems found under a rock, 2 earth gems. So at that point for us, that's 2 turns worth of earth income. So very, very nice. But we did fail to capture this farmland, which is unfortunate. Hopefully we'll be able to come back with this. The units that I recruited last turn are here, and they are moving to this farmland to take it, along with all the routed enemies or routed units as well. At this point, yeah, I have moved these Seraphines back into these lines, but I have not learned from everything since this guy is still here. Very, very big mistake. I should have him here. Moving to take this Wasteland Mountain Prominence just to kind of hone in our area of influence in a way. Just go ahead and take it, because if anyone else saw it, they'll probably try to pick it up as fast as they can. Hopefully there's a lot of good sites here. So we're trying to retake this farmland again and trying to take this wasteland here just to kind of start growing so we have more of an area of influence on what we can actually claim as far as provinces go. As far as recruitment goes, same as last turn, Spirehorn Warriors and a Seraphine, just to either boost out our expansion parties that have taken losses or start new expansion parties. We should be okay. 28 research points a turn. Could be better, but we have expansion parties to have, so win or lose, you know. So we'll go ahead and head over to turn 6 as the last episode for this, or last turn for this episode today. So we have our 2 battles. We had a crippled unit die on the march. We had an unexpected event, and we bought mercenaries. I forgot I bought mercenaries. I feel like at this point, because I had a failed expansion, I wanted to go ahead and pick these guys up just to be a sponge. So we'll go ahead and watch. Well, let's go ahead and watch this farm battle, because we definitely want revenge for what happened before. So we still have our sort of the same formation as we did before, just a lot less archers. And we should be able to easily take these out since there's just one commander now, and they're getting relatively far apart. And there's us doing our attack rear command like good little birds, and us trying to shoot ourselves with fire darts. Word of command coming down, getting some random kills, and the armies are routing, and that will be it. And we'll look at the report for that. So we lost 1 Spirehorn Warrior, really nice casualty to loss or casualty to kill ratio. Can't say that for the last battle, but it is what it is. So we'll go and watch this wasteland. And this is why I said it was extremely unfortunate. I did not notice this while I was doing it, but these light cavalry are going to be able to fire at our commander, which is going to be really, really dangerous because our commander doesn't wear any armor. Getting some Sermon of Courage off. We should be attacking soon. You say, oh, okay, there's no one to shoot at in the corner. Let's shoot some shots off at the commander instead. 2 arrows and we're dead. Very, very unfortunate. This is where we run away. They are routing too, but our flyers will definitely get off the battlefield first. And there we go. So that is our second failed expansion. Really, really sucks. Really, really unfortunate. Yes, we lose 2 here, but when we check the retreat, we lost more than 2. Only 18 survived, so very, very heavy losses on that. Very, very unfortunate. I could have scripted a whole lot better to prevent that from happening, but it will be okay. Same recruitment as last turn. We're moving to take this back. We're moving this Seraphine over to pick these units up. And then we're moving the Prophet, which has grabbed an item, a Bear Claw Talisman, so +5 strength, +2 morale, over to attack these heavy infantry and slingers, along with the mercenaries that I have, these pirate mercenaries. I'll look at that again in a moment. These guys here, and now I'm just putting them as far up as I can to have them as a sponge for anything that comes to us. I think they were relatively cheap, and I had a surplus of gold, so I put it to good use. I made a commander here. I should be moving that commander there. I'm not sure why I didn't. I'm not too sure. Maybe I was making something here. Yeah, I was making a commander here too. Well, I'm not sure why. I'm not sure why I made that one. Maybe I have no idea. I really don't. It's just odd watching a battle in second time or seeing watching your turns in the second time and being like, I have no idea why I did that, but it had to have been a reason. Um, Other than that, decent population here at 7,000 with a 60 income. Usually a lot more than anything else we could have taken at the time, other than barbs. So cool, cool. I wish we don't actually need these to have scouts because we actually make much better scouts when our own castles being flying scouts. So not too big of a deal, but usually enough if I grab a farmland early, I will try to make scouts from it if I'm able to. So we're trying to move to take on turn 7. Next episode, you'll see us have a battle in Caelum, Province 102 with heavy infantry, and we'll have a battle at a 100 being Flemenstein, and we'll see if we can have a little bit of revenge, of course, because we like to fail our expansions. Um, Over here, as far as our scouting reports go, we do have Machako beside us, so very, very interesting. I think I just hide the scout in here just to have an idea of what he's making. And from the looks of it, he's going with a War Elephant expansion. I've never tried Elephant expansion. I heard it works, but it's something I haven't tried yet, so very, very interesting. Other than that, we do not know anyone else who is here. As far as things go, this lake here is going to be a very, very nice natural border for us, for whoever is over here, because they probably have a difficult time coming through this province here, being a throne. And this one here, I don't know. I mean, people aren't going to normally resort to wanting to take mountains or push to a mountain when they have other things like farmlands and stuff like that to take. So, relatively nice border we'll have with someone over here. Flyers will be able to move through this pretty fast, and the human units will have to walk slowly around the lake. If you notice over here, we have Amazons and Jade Maidens. I think I do notice these, but I've decided that our little profit party is not going to be able to take 50 Amazons out. So we move on. Really, really nice to have. They're going to be a nature income, well, I wouldn't say nature income, but nature path for us. Not only that, they'll be able to go up recruitment. As far as recruitment goes, they'll be able to get extra random for nature. So going up to nature 2, water 1s. Really, really nice site searchers to get your nature income going. And on top of that, they'll be able to cast things like Vapors. I don't know if you'll need that in particular, but you can definitely cast it with them. So really, really interesting. I'm glad to have you guys here to watch this series. I'll be posting these every Monday. I will definitely be keeping up with our national overviews every Friday. I want to have a good distance between that just to have a little bit of time between the videos, give people time to watch something else. So really, really fun. I'm glad I can have. I can glad. Well, jumbling up my words there. I'm glad I could have the opportunity to do something like this. I've always been wanting to do something like this and give people a better insight on how I play the game. Not particularly saying that's a good thing, but it is what it is, I guess. um, so very, very fun, very, very interesting. Hope to see you guys next Monday or next Friday, or whichever one you decide to do. So have a great day. This is going to be the last turn for us, and hopefully enough, next episode we'll be going over turn 7 through 12. We're going to try to go ahead and get that first year out the way. So have a great day, guys. See ya.